Okay, brilliant. Sorry if you got a bit of a delay there. People who are watching or a bit of a black screen. But anyway, hope you've all had a good week. I've had a pretty decent week. I'm happy it's December anyway, and yeah, God, yeah, this semester for yeah, yeah, this semester's flown by for me. So yeah, it's quite an interesting time, and obviously with Christmas and everything, it's always a fun time to be around or alive, I guess. So I guess one of the topics that I just wanted to talk about today is kind of a topic that I heard in the news, but I didn't necessarily know a lot about it, and that is, as hence you can see the title of the video, the conflict in Ethiopia, and specifically the Tigray region. And what I kind of find funny is that, well, not funny, but odd, is the president of Ethiopia, who is Abiy Ahmed, whatever. He won a Nobel Peace Prize in 2019, and now he finds himself in a civil war in his own country where there's a lot of genocide, a genocide from all sides, including government. So, yeah, interesting turn of events there, definitely. So yeah, I guess that we're going to talk about the Tigray conflict today in as much detail as possible, or in the best way that I can, and hopefully it's not too intimidating for people. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it. So I guess first of all, we may as well talk about how it started. So it kind of started in November 2020. So I guess the president Abiy Ahmed, he ordered a military offensive in the Tigray region, which is in the north part of Ethiopia, and promised that the conflict would resolve quickly. However, 1 year on, I guess well, nearly 1 year on really by this point, um, fighting has left thousands dead and it's displaced more than 2 million people from their homes. It's fueled famine, which I don't know, which I even I remember from my geography classes was kind of relevant and not relevant, but prevalent in Ethiopia anyway. And it's given way to a rise of atrocities, which I've mentioned before. And I guess Ethiopia was struggling with significant economic, ethnic, and political challenges long before this feud between Abiy Ahmed and the region, the Tigray regions, for a ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front. That'll be important, so try and keep that in your head if you can. So yeah, basically the conflict between these two parties kind of bubbled over, and now Ethiopia is essentially a mess. And basically, there's a fear now that the violence in the Tigray region could, I guess, spread to the rest of the country, and Ethiopia is essentially in ruins. That's the fear, anyway. And I guess I may as well explain why it is what the whole Tigray conflict is about, which I said before. But anyway, so it has its roots, I guess, in a long time in Ethiopia. So just to give you a geography of Ethiopia, it's made up of 10 regions and 2 cities that have a substantial amount of autonomy, including regional police and militia. And because of a previous conflict with neighboring Eritrea, there are a large number of federal troops in Tigray, and regional governments are largely divided among entrenched ethnic lines, which, as we all know, is a great way to start a war. And before Abiy Ahmed came to power, the TPLF had governed Ethiopia with an iron grip for decades, overseeing a period of stability and economic growth at the cost of basic civil and political rights. Now, before I go any further, I got this from CNN, so be aware that this might be a bit biased in the favor. I haven't been. I'm just keep an open mind. Don't listen to exactly what this says. Do your own research and make sure you don't rely on one political point of view. But anyway, in 2018, Abiy Ahmed was appointed as president by the ruling class to quell tensions and bring change. and basically upend this political order that the TPLF had reigned over. But almost as soon as he became prime minister, Abiy Ahmed, I probably should say Abiy by this stage, announced the rearrangement of the ruling coalition that the TPLF had founded, the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Front, or the EPRDF. It's a lot of acronyms. But anyway, which was composed of 4 parties into a single new Prosperity Party, ostracizing TPLF in the process. And I think you can all see what's going to happen now. And in a drive for a new pan-Ethiopian political party, Abiy sparked fears in some regions that the country's federal system, which guarantees significant autonomy to ethnically defined states such as Tigray, was under threat. And leaders in Tigray withdrew to their mountainous heartland in the north, where they continued to control their own regional government. So, yeah, hopefully this is all making sense so far. And I guess tensions boiled over in September 2020 when Tigrayans defied Abiy by going ahead with regional parliamentary elections that he had delayed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Abiy called the vote illegal, and lawmakers cut the funding to the TPLF leadership, setting off a tit-for-tat series of escalations between regional and federal governments. And on the 4th of November 2020, after accusing the TPLF of attacking a federal army base outside Tigray's regional capital, Mekelle, and attempting to steal its weapons, Abiy ordered a military assault against the group, sending in national troops and fighters from the neighbouring region of Amhara alongside soldiers from Eritrea. And Abiy declared the offensive a success after just 3 weeks when the government forces took over Mekelle and installed an interim administration which was loyal to Addis Ababa, or basically Abiy Ahmed's government. But a year on, the conflict is far from over. So I guess we should probably just talk about the atrocities, since you hopefully have been able to get at least a little basis of what the whole conflict is about. So 4 months after the start of the conflict, Abiy Ahmed denied that civilians were being harmed or that soldiers from Eritrea had joined the fight. But reports from international observers, human rights groups, and CNN proved that these claims are incorrect. Thousands of people have died in the fighting, with many estimates with reports of raised refugee camps, looting, sexual violence, massacres, and extrajudicial killings. Many more have fled to Sudan, which I'm not sure if that's really the best place to be going. In what the United Nations is called the worst exodus of refugees from that Ethiopia has seen in 2 decades. Quite a lot, I guess. And it's a disastrous conflict that's given rise to ethnic violence. And I guess it's very hard for journalists to know what's going on. I guess that's an important point to fill out, because Ethiopia's government has severely restricted access to journalists, and they've also enforced a communications blackout, which has concealed events in the region, making it challenging to verify survivors' accounts or to know what's actually going on. However, I'm not sure if we really want to. Well, I guess you would want to know it, but separate investigations by CNN and Amnesty International basically uncovered massacres that were carried out by Eritrean forces in the Tigrayan towns of Dengalat and Aksum late last year. And another CNN investigation, which was published in June, revealed another massacre which was committed by Ethiopian soldiers in the Tigrayan town of Mahabera Dago in January. And the report identified one of the perpetrators of the massacre and geolocated human remains to the site of the attack. Minor details, but basically they did another massacre. And essentially, there's another report where in April they they filmed Eritrean soldiers in disguised as Ethiopian soldiers operating with total impunity in central Tigray, manning checkpoints and blocking vital humanitarian aid to starving populations for more than a month after Abiy pledged to the international community that they would leave. So, a lot of honesty is going on in this situation. All actors on both sides, both the TPLF and the Ethiopians in the Eritreans, have been accused of carrying out atrocities. But Eritrean forces have been linked to some of the most gruesome. In addition to perpetrating mass killings and rape, Eritrean soldiers have also been blocking, as I've said before, blocking routes for humanitarian aid to multiple parts of Tigray, which is obviously not good. And I guess this conflict compounded with the biggest the biggest locust swarms in quite a while has kind of hit the Ethiopian population quite hard. And essentially, the UN has basically said that the Eritrean forces and Ethiopian forces have blocked basically access for humanitarian aid to 5 million people, which is, just to put it in an Irish context, that's the entire population of Ireland, which is it's horrible. And it's essentially a terrible situation that's really being upheld there. And there's been UN officials have been expelled. It's really not a nice situation for it to really I guess hear and obviously learn about, which is, the world is a lovely place, isn't it, really? And I guess we better go on to what's happening now. So I've obviously talked about events that have happened in earlier this year and last year when the conflict began. So Ethiopia's government declared a unilateral ceasefire in June when Tigrayan forces retook the regional capital, Mekelle, but the TPLF categorically ruled out a truce, and the fighting has spread beyond Tigray's borders into neighbouring Amhara and Afar regions. And as they have pushed the front line further south, fighters loyal to the TPLF, known as the Tigray Defence Forces, have allied with the Oromo Liberation Army, a rebel group fighting for the rights of people from Oromia, which is Ethiopia's most populous region. And the rapid advance of fighters, who said they have seized Dessie and Komboka, two key towns, I guess, on the road to Addis Ababa, which is the capital, have raised concerns that the capital could fall and basically Ethiopia will be back in the hands of the TPLF again, which is obviously, depending on which side you fall on, is ideal or not ideal. And essentially, we've been left with this uncertainty that Ethiopia might fall to the TPLF, but it's very unclear what happens. And I would suggest that you stick to the news, and be interesting to see how this unfolds. The OLA spokesperson has told CNN that this last Thursday that rebel fighters were still weeks to months away from the capital and about 160 kilometers away from Addis Ababa. So you can make that distance up quite quickly. That's 120. How long is that? So to put that into context, that's probably from here to say Cork, about that distance. Which I guess, I don't know, depending on how you see things, it might be quite alarming. And I guess that's essentially what my account or my interpretation or my basically understanding of what the Tigray conflict is, and how basically Ethiopia is in a kind of a bit of a limbo right at this minute, and hopefully no one gets hurt. That's a stupid comment because people have already gotten hurt, and I guess it's always unfortunate that people who are harmed the most are the civilians. As we've already seen, I mentioned it up there, 2 million people have had to emigrate, or been forced to flee, and then that's going to add to the migrant crisis, and then they're going to be stuck in Belarus, and they could die on a boat somewhere. You know what I mean? It's a really, 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 really bad situation, and I guess if you believe in God, pray to God that they that it all comes to pass. But I think we all know that's not going to be the case, and yeah, Ethiopia is just going to be in limbo for a certain amount of time anyway. But yeah, on that note, I guess that's it for Pablo this week. I hope you have enjoyed the show, and hopefully you have learned something. And yeah, I will come back with a bit of a lighter topic next week, because I do realize, it's the start of December and Christmas is not too far away. So I kind of feel like I kind of dampened everything with this kind of somber subject. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed the show. If you liked it, tell me, post it down in the comments. But if you didn't, you don't need to say anything, or even you don't have to say anything at all. But anyway, hopefully I'll enjoy it, and I will see you next week with another very interesting show about a very interesting topic, probably. All right, goodbye everyone, and have a good week.